Hey, this is Eli, the tree guy with Canva. We're up here in Berryville, Virginia for the Northern Virginia Reptile Expo. Let's see what they have.
Welcome to the Reptile Show!
All right, so I'm here with Darrell and Brandi from Scales.stripes, and I have a piebald ball python. Now there's some other morphs mixed in here, but what really sticks out about this animal is the fact that only its head, if I could get it to uncurl, of course ball python is true to its name, there we go. Only its head is displaying any sort of morphology beyond the actual piebald. So piebald is a recessive genetic mutation that occurs in nature. Sometimes you'll see it in deer, other animals, and sometimes it's only going to result in maybe a small patch of white on the animal, but these are truly remarkable in that the entire animal is white except for the head. Hey guys, I'm here with Ed and Michael from Reptifest, and we have in my hands a dreamsicle corn snake. Creamsicle, not dreamsicle. A corn snake is actually a red rat snake found in the southeastern United States. And amongst the southeastern United States, you have different gradients and types of rat snakes and different morphs as you go down in geography. So up north, you're gonna have the black rat snake, you might have the red rat snake, corn snake. Further south, you're gonna get the yellow rat snake, Everglades rat snake, and then as you go Western America, you have others like the gray rat snakes, Baird's rat snakes. Within nature, there's opportunities for these snakes to interbreed, and this is actually a hybrid of a red rat snake, or otherwise known as a corn snake, and a yellow rat snake, albino, and you add that yellow to get these beautiful yellow side colorations and some of that yellow pop that you may not see in a traditional corn snake. Sometimes you'll see on a traditional corn snake a lot of the checkered pattern on the belly. This is a little bit reduced, and some of that could be the fact that maybe it's the interbreeding with the yellow rat snake. These animals are genetically selected to have specific traits, and those are bred out over time. So you lose some of the wild aspects, but really cool pop, really cool yellow. And if you look there, you can see just those beautiful, like pinkish red eyes. So really docile animal. I've really enjoyed handling it. Hey, so here we have a leachianus gecko I'm with Critters, Reptiles, and Exotics. They have all sorts of cool different geckos and small animals here. This is the largest gecko in the world. It comes from New Caledonia. And I cannot even describe how velvety soft this animal is. This is incredible, just the amount of softness, so tame. Really great pet animal. You don't need a whole lot of setup, and it's less involved like some of these other ones you're gonna find here in terms of lighting, heat, things like that. This reminds me of the one episode of The Mandalorian with the gecko that he takes across the universe. Like, looks just like it. So super cool. Yeah, thanks for letting me hold him. All right, so typically when you see a white animal like this, it's gonna be maybe some form of albino, which usually is gonna result in red eyes and some of that black coloration still coming through as yellow. But in this case, we actually have leucistic animals, which are specifically white just through the gene expression without any form of albinism. So you can get those typical black eyes that you see on a normal animal. And in some cases with these leucistics, you actually get blue eyes. So we're gonna learn more about that here in just a second. Andrew from Serpentine Exotics, and he's gonna tell us more about this amazing snake in front of us here. So
okay, yeah, thank you. So this is it's actually a black-eyed leucistic ball python. What I do is I work with a lot of different genetic mutations that we can combine within the ball python species to create these very unique, and sorry, you can see why they call it a ball python. He's wanting to go into a ball there, but I want you to see, if you can, the up close on the eyes of this, because the genetics that go into this animal, we have what they call a Mojave ball python and a lesser ball python, which creates a blue-eyed leucistic ball python, which is one of the more sought-after morphs. So you can see the eyes on this are not blue, they're actually black. and that's created by then adding what they call the champagne morph into the blue-eyed leucistic, which is the lesser and the Mojave. And then other combinations like is lavender albino combinations. So you can see this is a black pastel lavender albino, and that intense contrast between the deep orange and the white. And now as this one ages, the white will very gradually become a light lavender color. So I've always been fascinated by that, the animals that kind of change their color over time as they grow.
Some bioactive enclosures. What makes a bioactive enclosure different is that it simulates nature in the sense that you're recycling some of those nutrients. You usually have arthropods like isopods, springtails, things like that, and then usually plant matter to make it simulate what you would see out in the wild, as opposed to just throwing like newspaper down or aspen shavings. So we have Michael here with us. He's going to tell us a little bit more about that.
All right, so basically the way I build this is I've actually collected the wood from the Potomac and I sterilize it so that way it kills any possible parasites that might linger inside the wood. But basically there is a foam background. I secure the wood with that foam, then I put silicone, aquatic safe silicone, to bind the cocoa fiber and the sphagnum moths to create that background and to cover up any of the foam. And then I added some hydro balls in the bottom there, a wire mesh layer to prevent the gecko or any reptile from digging through, and then a blend of like soil and cocoa fibers, some peat moss for the substrate. Then I top that off with leaf litter, some other pieces of cork bark in there for the isopods and springtails to hide. I put some calcium in there, like cuttlefish bone. I crushed that up, and then I also put some other baker's yeast in there, stuff for the isopods to thrive on while the tank is establishing. Then I let these tanks sit for about a month for the plants to mature and to create more of a bioload for the bugs to reproduce and basically turn into what you see right here. I put some plant lights in there to help the plants grow, and then I mist it every few days. But basically it simulates a live ecosystem, but in a closure for a gecko. And the great thing about that is you never have to clean this enclosure once you establish it.
Hey guys, I'm here today with Cody from Fredericksburg Feeders. He's got a really cool lizard for us here, the Cuban night anole. And I actually used to be a big fan of, American anoles in the southeast here. And you can see a little squirmy, but one of the things that the camera really doesn't capture is just how velvety smooth and soft it is. It's cool to see these, it's almost like kind of an iguana from the Americas, but this is much larger than what you're gonna find in the American Southeast with our typical green anoles that you're gonna see. So really cool animal. So now traveling across the world to a different animal from Indonesia. This is a blue-tongued skink, also found in Australia. In particular, this is gonna be one of the Indonesian varieties. Probably, if I had to guess, I would say Maruki. And you can tell that from its dark arms right here, which you wouldn't see on a northern blue-tongued skink or any of the varieties that come from Australia. One of my personal favorite animals, and I just really love the story behind these. They're ground-dwelling. They can't really climb. They're kind of heavy-bodied. It almost doesn't make sense. They have no real defense mechanism, but somehow they have managed to survive as long as they have. Really cool to see, and hopefully we can find a northern here, something a little bigger, but I'm definitely excited to be able to hold this guy. All right, so here we have Jen from Jen's Uncommon Critters, and we have these really cool leopard gecko setups. Jen, could you tell us a little bit more about your nonprofit and what you do with reptiles?
Of course. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We're based out of Frederick, Maryland. We work with exotic animals. We have a lot of leopard geckos, some ball pythons, a couple bearded dragons coming in, and we adopt out, but we also educate. So we do educational events, birthday parties, library programs during the summer, all kinds of fun stuff. So these guys we have 5 adoptable leopard geckos with us at the event here today. And you mentioned the setups. So these are little pop-up setups that we use when we go places because it allows them to be secure and safe, but lets people get a good look at them too. And they're a little smaller than their normal everyday 40-gallon, but it's a safe way to transport and have them on display. Plus they have their hides they can go into if they're feeling a little overwhelmed or just have had enough of dealing with people.
Yeah, so for anyone looking to adopt one of these animals, what is the process for that?
So what we do is we start with an application, and after we review your application, we schedule an interview. And then we have a requirement in our setup, so there are minimum requirements, I don't know if you could show that, of what we look for. And then once you have your setup complete and we've answered questions and gone over things with you, we can schedule the adoption from there.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
for taking the
welcome.
time to share, and,
Yeah, thank you. It's awesome.
You guys get home soon.
Thank you.
Guys and gals.
Yeah, just a couple others that I'm really excited to be working with now. A couple genes in boa constrictors. One that's become very popular recently is the IMG, which IMG stands for increasing melanin gene. So these, as you can see, it looks almost not too unlike a normal boa constrictor. You can see the nice pattern to it. What's really cool about the IMGs is kind of what I was talking about with the lavender albino ball pythons, where they change color a little bit as they age. IMGs, this animal as an adult is going to be solid black with no pattern, or very little. And it's adult IMG boas are probably the most iridescent snakes I've ever owned. Yeah. So they're really impressive animals. And every time this animal sheds, she's just going to get a little bit darker and a little bit darker until there is no discernible pattern left, and she's just solid black.
All right, so we're here with Joe from Homestead Exotics, and he has a lot of cool ground geckos. Some of the more like vintage species that you would see in the industry. So pictus geckos, I actually had one growing up. Really cool gecko from Madagascar, ground dwelling, and then also African fat tail geckos over here that you typically don't see in the industry as much, just due to the limited amount of morphs. Joe, one of the things that really caught my eye was one of these Dune geckos. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Those are stenodactylus. Also have a species known as Stenodactylus petrii. These will get to be roughly about, I'm going to say about 3.5 inches. The petrii gets a little bit larger. They're really cool. I fell in love with those when the first time I ever saw them.
Yeah, a lot of these you'll see just here, if you kind of look, you'll see that vertical slit in the eye. Usually a good indication that it's nocturnal.
Yeah, that's my Paradoria picta.
And is that a morph of a pictus gecko?
The bold stripe tends to be more common. You got what I found, you got bold stripe, you have anoristic, or sometimes they call it reticulated, and then you have the anoles, the melanistics.
Thanks for sharing with us about them. And,
Yep, not a problem.
Hope someone gets a new pictus gecko today. Really rewarding.
Sold a few today already.
Yeah.
And this is what we call a cow reticulated python. It's kind of a funny name, but you can sort of see. You start to see a little bit in the baby here, why they call it a cow. You can see it's starting to get some little black freckles. So this is another one that goes through an intense color change as it grows. When this animal first hatched, it was solid white with blue eyes. And as he's grown, every time he sheds, he gets more and more of these little freckles on him. And by the time this one's an adult, it's going to have giant black splotches all over it. It will still have the beautiful white base color, but they call it a cow because it looks like a cow with the black and the white.
One of the things I really love about reticulated pythons, these come from Southeast Asia, so again, moving all across the globe, even in this short table here, but they're highly inquisitive and very arboreal, very athletic. So they're one of the more, higher energy species, I would say.
Yes, definitely.
And it's just really cool, most of these are going to be probably inaccessible for most people just because they can get like what, 20 plus feet?
Yeah, up to 20 feet typically. It's rare. Some will get above 20 feet in some cases though, yes.
Where can people find you? Like where can they go online?
Yeah, we have Facebook or Instagram. Serpentine Exotics is the name of our business. We're based in Grantsville, Maryland, but we do a lot of shows all over the Mid-Atlantic area.
Hey guys, wow, that was a great show. It was so cool to go back and to see this reptile show that I hadn't been to one of these in about 15 years, and I used to go to the same one when they hosted it at a different location. And it was really cool to see animals from all around the world, to talk to people passionate about reptiles, about nature. Saw really cool animals like fire skinks, hedgehog, dart frogs, all sorts of other things that I didn't cover in this video. So by no means did I even scratch the surface of what was there at the show. I want to give a special thanks to everyone who let me stop by, film their animals, inform me about the different morphs and about their animals. I really appreciate it. You can find their information down in the link below and links to their websites and socials. So thanks again everyone for letting me film. There's going to be more content like this coming up, and I'm excited to see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay wild.